Hey there, everybody. I just wanted to welcome you to week number 4. It is 9 o'clock, so we're going to get started. Today is going to be a little bit different. I found some really great materials from some previous coaches, and I just want to really be able to share those with you because today we're going to be really focused on common objections, how to attract the right people into your business and organizations. And also, we've got a lot of other things to cover about being transparent and being authentic and being yourself. So I hope to get through all of it tonight. And you know what, if we have time, which I'm not sure we will, I'm going to get into some of the tools and the really amazing power behind three-way calls specifically. But if we don't cover that tonight, we'll definitely put that forward to week number 5. So once again, thanks for joining me, and let's get started. Oops, I almost forgot to share my screen. I guess I need to do that so you're not seeing my face the whole time. Whew, remembered. All right, here we go. Okay, so week number 4, here we are. Here's a couple things we're just going to go through. Common objections and how to deal with them, including audio clips from my amazing and wonderful coach, Jeffrey Combs, whom I've hired many times. The DIP strategy is taught by Lisa Nichols, and that's something that we learned at the Las Vegas Amplified Leadership event. I'm going to give you some tips and tools and ideas on how you can create your own DIPs. And if time, we will look at the tools, iSamovie, three-way calls, etc. So let's get started. I'm going to start off, like I said, it's going to be a little bit of a different call today. I am going to really include some awesome audio clips that will really help you guys get the idea of, how powerful we all are when we believe and we know what we're worth. So let's start off with a clip from Jeffrey Combs, and this will also, cover some of the things we're going to work on this week. All right. And just so you know, I'm going to goldenmastermind.com, which is Jeffrey's site. And in there, I've actually subscribed as a member. Being a coached person, I also had access to a lot of his materials, but you can also do the same. There is a membership fee if you're interested. So if you like what you hear tonight, then it might be something you invest in. So let's get started. We're just going to hear about, let's see, this clip is going to be just shy of 10 minutes, but I really think that you'll get some great valuable information. So sit back and enjoy.
If money were not an issue, what would you be doing with your time? See, there are actually millions of terrific people in the world. And if you haven't found any yet, then become one of them now. Do something exceptional. Become exceptional. Attract exceptional people. You see, it is an option, my friends. Terrific people are right in front of us every single day, but most people don't even recognize them.
Okay, it's about that time. Let's take a quick break and make a phone call.
Hello. Hi, is Carlos in, please? Who's this? My name is Jeffrey Combs. Is this Carlos? Yeah, Carlos, I'm calling you from Stockton, California, right outside of San Francisco. How you doing this evening?
All right, working on my yard.
Working in your yard?
Yep.
Okay, Carlos, the purpose of my call is you had responded to some information on the internet about generating income from home. Are you still looking?
Probably, I was thinking about it. I thought that was something like doing some manual work at home or something, because the thing is that I have to be on the phone. I got no time for that because I have my full-time job, and I got 2 kids. I'm not so good at English to be talking by phone with people, so
Oh, I can appreciate that. You have a good Spanish market? You have connections in the Miami area?
Well, I live in Ocala right now. I just moved in here about a couple of weeks ago. I still don't know too many people here.
I won't waste your time, but I have one more question for you.
Uh-huh.
The opportunity that I am about to present you would entail phone work, and it would be from the comfort of your home. It is not a job. It would be in free enterprise, and it'd be an opportunity for you to own your own business by directing your own time. Is it something you'd have an interest in?
Well,
yes or no, Carlos? I won't waste your time.
I'll give you a call later if I think that, that's what I need.
Okay. Have a nice evening, Carlos.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, just before we continue with that bit of a recording, I just wanted to say, because I forgot to let you know beforehand, is that through some of these trainings, Jeffrey actually does live calls, and he does a lot of cold calls, but he's also generated interest through online sources of generating the leads. So if you're wondering why it is he called this person or what this all means, it's just an example for each of you to, see how quick and direct he gets to the point and gets to an answer quickly. So oftentimes, this is, again, practice. This is a skill. Jeffrey is very good at what he does, and we all can learn from amazing skill masters like him. But he didn't get this way overnight. I mean, it happened to be a long process for him, just like it is for all of us. But that was a really great example that I just wanted to share with you. And I do want to just continue to press play a little bit longer on this audio specifically, because I think there's some really valuable tips and ideas in here about how you're acting in your business and how you're showing up.
Fear, F-E-A-R, that simple four-letter word that keeps most people from approaching other people. We all require other people in our lives. Look around you. You're in a business where interaction, leadership, personal development, commitment are required. You are not a man or a woman on an island. We not only require people to survive, but we require them to succeed. People with self-esteem issues usually suffer from a situation where they don't believe they are terrific people. They end up pushing other terrific people out of their lives because they feel they don't deserve them. This happens over and over with people who are advertising. They are attracting bad leads to their reality. And a funny thing is, I have noticed that people have called me before in the groups or organizations that I have built, and they said, Jeff, all of my leads are terrible. No one is signing up with me. No one is buying. I can't even get a simple yes. Well, see, the situation is these people are attracting to their reality exactly what they're thinking. Even today, I had a phone call from a gentleman who had asked me a question after leaving his name and number on my 800 number. And he lived in Wichita, Kansas, and I explained to him that I would be speaking in Wichita next spring. And his reply was, that'll be great. I look forward to seeing you if I'm not in the ground yet. See, this is someone who's already sending messages to the universe saying that I may not even be around next spring. I'll be lucky if I'm alive. What kind of people do you think he's attracting to his reality? The exceptional thing is, as you change, so will your leads. A funny thing is when you're attracting quality people, you will hear them through the messages. Now understand, the brain works as a transmitter and a receiver. It works both positively and negatively. And I'll give you a positive example. In a relaxed state of consciousness, you are sitting in your home. You are thinking about an ex-boyfriend, girlfriend, someone you went to college with, or a relative. In this relaxed state of consciousness, you are thinking about this person. And miraculously, your phone rings. And who is on the other end of the line? None other than the very person you were thinking about. This happened to me yesterday. I called Tom, and I had no idea that he was on a golf course in Orlando, Florida, playing golf. And he goes, Jeff, that's unbelievable. I was just thinking about calling you. And I said, you know what, Tom? The brain works as a transmitter and a receiver. I received your message telepathically, and I decided it was time to call you. Well, if you worked on this concept each and every day, consistently for the next several years of your life, imagine what would happen to you. See, the same thing happens when you fear circumstances and situations to happen. See, what the mind thinks about, it brings about. What the mind thinks about, it expands upon. So when you're in a relaxed state of consciousness and you're looking for good things to happen, there's a very good probability that that can and will happen. The same thing happens from a fear perspective, a poverty consciousness, or a lack mentality. You begin to attract other people of like mind. Once again, what you think about, you bring about. A terrific person is someone who makes others realize their own self-worth. They bring out the best in everyone they meet. See, one of the things I have found is we can't outperform our own self-expectations. Many people arrive with a feeling of unworthiness. I have read that it's called the Groucho Marx syndrome. Groucho Marx was once quoted as saying in jest, I wouldn't want to be a member of any country club that wanted me as a member. Only after you acknowledge your fears, confront your inner demons of unworthiness, and exercise all the wrong information that has been programmed into you by toxic people who previously have infected your life, can you feel that you deserve the best that people have to offer. Now, if you've ever seen me speak live in front of a large group, I always ask people to do two very simple tasks. First of all, I ask them to stand up and say, I love myself, I deserve to have it all. And after doing it a couple of times, the emotion changes and people start to get into the moment and they start shouting, I love myself, I deserve to have it all. See, something is happening there. They are speaking into existence reality that I am asking them to later manifest. However, many of these people are already feeling uncomfortable because of two topics, love myself and deserve to have it all. The sad fact is that most people don't believe in life that they do deserve to have it all. And because of this very thought process, they end up attracting what they deserve, which isn't much. You have to think about that for a second. Now, the second thing I ask people to do is that while they're standing up, I ask them to introduce themselves by name. Hello, my name is Jeffrey Combs, and I ask them to say these key simple words. Hi, my name is Jeffrey Combs, self-made millionaire and very comfortable with myself. You know, a lot of people think that's cute and funny, and they actually get into the exercise for a few moments, and you hear a buzz going around the room. Then I ask everyone to sit down. And then I ask people, how many of you felt very uncomfortable during that exercise? And the hands all across the room go up. And I go, oh, come on. Who really felt uncomfortable? Be honest with yourself. And you see more and more hands. And a large percent of the room gets their hands up. Because see, here we are in a networking business, in free enterprise, the opportunity to get paid what we're worth by developing ourselves and others. Yet many people don't feel they deserve to be a self-made millionaire. And I really touch on this topic and go in depth in my 8-tape series, Principles for Prosperity. But see, having self-esteem, confidence, abundance, peace of mind is what we really all seek. I call it POM. Isn't that what we really seek? Peace of mind. I have received letters and cards from people all over the United States and world that have moved me to tears, thanking me for making a difference in their lives. These are terrific people, and this has allowed me to reflect on my own life. These are my best possible gifts I could receive, enriching the lives of others so they can go on and enrich the lives of others.
All right. So, I mean, that is an amazing series among many others that he does. He's a great coach. And I have to say that if you're ever looking for a coach and you want someone to be completely frank and honest with you, Jeffrey is your guy. I've hired him twice. Once my very first, within the first 2 years of doing my business, and it literally helped me change my mindset because I was stopping myself, and I'm sure many of you understand what that's like. But he is someone that I just recently hired again within the past 6 months. And again, I mean, it's just incredible to have someone like Jeffrey who's had such a past of hardships and addictions and everything really help people like us who are, just striving to be the best version of ourselves. So anyway, guys, we will be hearing a couple more things from Jeffrey tonight, but let's move forward here. So some of the common objections, and these are just a few. Obviously, we get tons of objections all the time. And one thing I do want to use as a precursor is that oftentimes we get objections when our skill set is not high or our belief is not high. So we can, much like what Jeffrey talked about in that first clip, we can often attract the type of people that we are. So if we have a problem with the price, chances are we're going to attract people that also have a problem with the price. Maybe we don't have a high level of belief in network marketing, or we think there's something dirty or bad about it. Chances are we're going to start attracting people that start thinking that it's an illegal business or it's a pyramid scheme, things like that. So when you're getting these objections, you'll want to really look in the mirror and ask yourself, do I have an issue with this area of objection? And if you can say yes, then that's something you want to take some time to invest in that growth in that area. Because if you've got an issue with some of these areas, then you're going to continue to attract people with the same objections. Time is a common one. I don't know enough people. I don't know enough about the products, the business, the compensation plan, on and on and on. I don't like sales. We hear that all the time too. And it's a pyramid scheme. So I'm going to, again, share one short clip Like I said, tonight's a little bit different, but I just felt there was so much really key information in what Jeffrey teaches and coaches that I didn't want to duplicate something. When what I'll do is I'll fill in some of the gaps along the way that Jeffrey did not cover in this short clip. So let me just tune in here to disc number 8. And I need to make sure I start at the right place here. So bear with me.
Can't afford it. Understand that most of the people you're going to talk to are coming from a we can't afford it type of mentality. So you present a tremendous opportunity, product, service to these people, an opportunity that can and will change the quality of their life, and most of them are going to give you some knee-jerk reactions. So don't take any of it personally, because it's not about you. Remember that it's always about them, and it's always about their excuses. I am going to cover 32 of the most commonly asked questions and statements that I have found in my 13-year networking career. Number 1, when you are prospecting, you are going to have people who say, "What's this about?" Now, when someone would say that to me, sometimes they say it abrasively, rude, and sometimes they just say it commonly, "What's this about?" When someone says, "What's this about?" you can come back with quite simply, and you have to say it very calmly, "This is about me looking for good, quality people who are looking for a way to change the quality of their life." Is that you, Tom? Is that you, Betty? And you have to pause there and take the air out of the conversation. So once again, let's say your prospect says, "What's this about?" Well, Tom, this is about me looking for good quality people who want to change their quality of their life. Is that you? You're simply waiting for a yes or no. Understand, prospecting is about collecting decisions. Also, in networking and direct sales, the beautiful part about what we do is we have the opportunity to pick and choose who we want to work with. So it's okay to let someone go that may be abrasive or rude to you up front. Understand, your time is very valuable. Oftentimes, I have seen men do this to women when they feel like they can intimidate them. So ladies, don't be intimidated by this A-type personality. Oftentimes, this is someone whose time is very valuable, and they may not even mean to be rude, but sometimes they come across this. So what's this about? This is about me looking for good quality people whose requirements and desires qualify for my time. That is one good answer. This is about me looking for good people who want to purchase my product and lose weight, who want to change the quality of their life, any variation of it. It just has to be a soft, subtle comeback, and you don't want to be abrasive, because as I always say, 2 fools arguing is 2 fools arguing. Number 2, just cut to the chase. This also usually comes from the A-type personality who thinks or appears to be busy. And I often like this, and a good way to come back to this is good. So you're someone who's very determined. When someone would say to me, "Just cut to the chase," I didn't take it as a negative. This is usually an A-type personality, the doer, the driver, the lion for my personalities for success, the animal factor type of personality temperament. They're usually looking at their watch, and this can be a good sign, not necessarily a bad sign. So I would usually refer to that person by first name. "Great, Jim, you're someone whose time is very valuable." Good, I'm glad you said that. We'll get right into it. And you have to equate whether this is someone being abrasive or being rude, but you just want to address that with a very kind remark. "Great, you sound like the kind of person I'm looking for, someone who's busy and successful. I'll cut to the chase right now." Now, if this person continues to persist and interrupts you, you have to ask yourself, is this someone I want to work with? And if it's not, all you have to do is these 3 words. Jim, GAP, grab a pen. Here's the website. You like what you see, call me. See, when I am prospecting, I was always looking for a reason to disqualify people, because my theory was if I could get enough no's, I definitely could find enough yeses. And if someone is rude or abrasive, that's not going to qualify for your time. It's okay to let them go. Number 3, how much does this cost? Now, if someone asks you at the end of the equation, or someone that asks you that after they've been through a system and they didn't hear the information, this is a point you want to state. And if you have several different products that your prospects can purchase, you want to clarify that. Which part of how much does it cost didn't you hear? How much does what cost? This product or that product? I'm not sure I understand. Depends on where they ask. So understand that. If it's the end, they may just have missed it. But if someone cuts you off in mid-sentence, the first 15 seconds, first 30 seconds, and they say, how much did this cost? Well, that can really throw you. So after a period of time, I came up with a very good answer for this. And especially when they do it abrasively. How much does this cost? I would simply say, for you, nothing. Silence. And that person is always going to say, what do you mean? And I'm going to say, well, I have found with my experience, people interrupt me in the first 15 to 30 seconds and ask how much it costs. They're more concerned with cost when they are value. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. I'm looking for people who want to at least hear what I have to say and don't cut me off in mid-sentence. Here's the website. Like what you see, call me back. Thanks. See, the reality of it is, if you tell them right here that it costs $300, most of them are going to tell you it costs too much. If you tell them it costs $30, most of them are going to tell you it costs too little. You are looking for people who are looking for value, not cost. So please understand, how much does it cost depends on where they ask. And you have to always be in a position to be reading people. Number 4, is this a pyramid, a Ponzi, or a chain letter? I always love that one because I guarantee you that the normal person doesn't even understand what a pyramid is. Because a pyramid really is this. A pyramid is any kind of organization, scheme, or chain, or Ponzi where no products are being moved. And money is exchanging hands without any products being moved. That is called an airplane, a Ponzi, or a chain letter, or an illegal money scheme. So most people, when they say pyramid, they don't even know what they're talking about. So let's say this gentleman asked me, is this one of them there pyramid schemes? Now, are we dealing with an educated prospect right here? Absolutely not. So one of the things you can say is absolutely not. And by the way, what is a pyramid, Jim? Well, that's one of them things where you got to bring in your Aunt Molly and your Uncle Sue, and then you get paid off their effort. And if that's one of them, I don't want to talk to you. Great. Have a nice day. See, you don't have to present information to everyone. It's kind of like the Marines. We're only looking for a few good men or women. And some people just aren't going to qualify for your time because it's just not for them. So these are the kind of people you let them go. I've had much fun, though, with Pyramid over the years. And I have even gone as far as to say, well, where do you work, Jim? IBM. Oh, one of them, they're big corporations with a president and several vice presidents and several sales managers and many salespeople out there and lots of janitors. And gee, if you draw that all out exponentially, looks like a pyramid to me, doesn't it? You can determine how far you want to go. But I'm going to tell you, folks, you don't want to waste time on people who don't qualify for your time. It routinely isn't worth your time to argue with people. So start to hear these signs when people ask you if this is a pyramid, Ponzi, or a chain letter. More than likely, they're not very educated on the industry. You have to find out if they're open to more information. And if they don't qualify, just send them off.
All right, so for those of you hearing that for the first time, maybe you've heard Jeffrey speak before, but if you haven't, then I just want to at least let you know that, I mean, I love his ways, but I also know that in some ways, some people might think that he's very, he can be abrupt, but you know, he's good at what he does. So it's not going to be the way for everybody. I know for me, if I ever tried to say what he did about the price for you, nothing, when they asked, well, how much does this cost? I wouldn't be comfortable saying that, but I like what it's the whole, really the process of what he's going through is really helping us determine, is this person worth the time to be putting the effort in? Now, many of you might say, yes, everyone is worth it. And I do agree to an extent. I have to just caution you with this because we all start at the beginning, right? When we're all so desperate to get people enrolled and signed up. But what I will say is that sometimes that can backfire. If we're trying to convince people, trying to, you know, help every single person, even when they, you know, are people that maybe aren't willing, they're not coachable, they're not open, they're not doing the work to get the results. And then what can very easily happen is they start to blame you. And when you've got someone in your life like that, it can drain you so brutally. I know for me it's happened, and it was a big learning curve. And I'm certainly not saying it was a mistake. I don't think there's any mistakes in this business. It's just all about learning and growth. So that's why I say, I like his ways and his thought process, because it really is about attracting the right people into your business. So he talked a bit about the price objection. I want to just add that, if they trust you, they're more entitled, or they're more open to usually listening to what it is that you have to share. Now, again, when we don't know what the person's goals are, we can't really gear the products or the packages to what their values are. So again, really think about, how much am I talking and how much am I listening? If you're listening about 80% of the time, asking the right questions to get the answers you're looking for, you're going to be able to add more value to people. If there's no value for them and they don't know what's in it for them, and they just see it as a sales technique that you're trying to make some money or get them, then they're going to run the other way, and price will probably be the easiest way to say no thank you. Keep in mind, there are going to be people that use price as the main objection because it's the easiest thing to do. But you know what? I love this quote by Jim Rohn on the screen. If you really want to do something or buy something or have something or go somewhere, or whatever that may be, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse. So this all comes down to value. There are people saying no to you, which technically they're not saying no to you, they're saying no to themselves. They're saying no because they don't know enough, or they're not valuing what you have. But they might say yes to a Coach purse tomorrow, or they may, go and enjoy a game of golf every day this week because it's been beautiful weather, whatever that may be. So whatever their values are, they're going to find a way to make it work. They're going to find a way to afford it because the value is there. So it's our job to bring that value to the plate, but it means that you need to really know what the person is looking to achieve. All right, time objection. This is a common one too. I love the time objection one because most people think that this is going to take so much time out of their already very busy schedules. And I can agree that, we all have very busy lives, especially with children and work commitments, and maybe time changes for shift workers. Like, there's so many reasons why time can become a major objection. But what I can say is that, just from my own experience and also other people, is that if, again, the value is there and we have a vision to change how our time is being spent, we will find time to work on our fortune, right? Many people are working 40 hours plus a week to work on their job. Some people are business owners and they know how much time and commitment that goes into owning a traditional business. Network marketing is very different in the sense that it's not so much about the number of hours that are being put in weekly. It's about the consistency every day, the small daily tasks that add up over time to create that massive momentum later. So when people ask me that they don't have enough time, my first question is, how much time would you have if you knew that the time that you put in today could set you free tomorrow or years from now, right? That's just a play on words. But how much time would you have to spend on a business that could potentially set you free from working that day job that you're currently feeling stressed about, or whatever it is that they're, dealing with? And if they say, well, I would be able to make time, if it was going to free me from this job or this shift work, or, needing to hire help for my kids or whatever that may be, they will find the time. And I then will also say, do you think that you would be able to find between 1 to 2 hours, 5 days a week, to work on your fortune? Because really that's what we're doing. We're working on our fortune. This network marketing business can set people free if they are willing to take the consistent action over time. So if they say, yes, I have 1 to 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, then great. You are ready to keep moving forward in that. If they say, you know what, I don't know where I'd find that 1 to 2 hours a day, then I would start asking, do you mind me getting personal? And some people would say, no, I'm not really open to that. But some people would be like, yeah, sure, ask me. I would then ask, do you enjoy TV at night? What do you do after dinner, after the kids are in bed? And for some, it might be that they're teachers and they're marking all the time. They're taking time to just chill out and relax. There's many answers that come up when you ask that kind of question, like what do they do after the kids are in bed? And really, it comes down to what are their choices? They may say, you know what, I'm not willing to give up my TV time. Okay, great. And that's where we realize that there are certain people that are just not willing to change their circumstances enough to change their habits to get different results. So that is one of those examples of, okay, you know what, if something ever changes and you do want to look into how you can create time freedom by spending 1 to 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, you know my number and I'd love to connect with you, you know, if something ever changes. So time is definitely a common objection, but it doesn't need to be so scary for people. A lot of times they think they're going to have to do something full time in order to make it work. And again, perception. I love this because most people that say the time is the issue, they're looking at time as a sacrifice away from something. So for some of them it is, I don't want to give up my TV time. Are you kidding? And I remember being that way at the beginning. I loved The Bachelor and Bachelorette, I'll be honest, I'll admit it. But in years I have not watched it now because I look at it as I'm investing in my business, and watching an hour or two of TV in a week, even for The Bachelor or Bachelorette, it was once a week, is really not great use of my time. Yes, does it make me feel good to watch it? Oh, sure, of course. But what am I really getting out of it? Not a whole lot, just entertainment. So if people are looking at this as a sacrifice away from something that's important to them, and a big one could be their children. I know when we have events on Saturdays, a lot of people say, well, I'm not giving up my Saturday. That's the only time I have with my kids. I say to people, and this is exactly how I felt from day one, that I don't look at the event as a sacrifice away from my kids. I look at it as an investment in my children's future. And one Saturday out of the month is not going to be a major issue. It's actually going to help propel us to the next dimension of our life together. Employee or CEO, this is another question you might want to ask somebody if they give you these types of objections. Are you considering this a job or a business? Because most people are of the mentality of an employee. They're not thinking about being a CEO. So if they're thinking of an employee mindset, they're thinking, what's the least amount that I can do to make this work? And oh, I don't really want to give my nights up because I love watching TV and having a glass of wine with my husband, or whatever that might be. I look at it now as, what are you willing to give up today so that you can have what others don't have tomorrow? Because there are very few people that are willing to give something up today in order to propel them forward for tomorrow. So really ask yourself and ask those people that question, are you thinking of this as a job or as a business? I don't know enough people. This one is really, really common too. Clearly, we don't want to chase people. This is not about, you know, trying to find people to convince or anything like that. And a lot of people think they don't know enough people, but did you know the average person knows between 800 and 1,000 people? And with social networking and online networking, that number is getting even larger. Now, many people, and we've covered this in previous MIT sessions, many people have something against social media or they're not comfortable with it. But again, I'll ask you the question, are you willing to change something that you're currently doing in order to get a different result? Because that's what it's going to take. We can meet literally thousands of people online. Does that mean you're going to engage with every single person about your business that you meet? No, it's not. You're going to be pre-qualifying people. You're going to be listening to them. You're going to be, you know, possibly typing back and forth to people as you're meeting them in groups, in common area interest. You know, there's so much you can do to meet people. if you can't get outside your house. I mean, social media now makes it so easy. But again, it doesn't happen overnight. So if you're thinking that within the next week, you should be connecting with 10 new people and signing up 2 right away, you know, it does take time. It's a relationship. And that's why I put this quote in there. You don't close a sale, you open a relationship if you want to build a long-term successful enterprise. So stop thinking you're going to have people sign up on the first time you meet them. And no, you don't need to contact all your family and all your friends. It is something that I would encourage you to do, only because for me, I would not want to leave anybody out. This is an amazing opportunity, and there's no way that I would ever intentionally leave my friends and family out of this. I'd want them to know about it at the beginning, because that's like prime real estate. You know, if you're too afraid of judgment and what people are going to think about you, get over yourself. A lot of times we are thinking more about ourselves than the people around us. And if that's where you're at right now, you're afraid to talk to people because you're so afraid of what they're going to think about you. I'd be worried more about what they would think about you if you didn't share this and you left them alone and never talked to them about it. I certainly wouldn't want to be that friend, because I'd be like, hey, why didn't you think of me? We can't prejudge people. So you think you don't know enough people, but really what you're doing is you're judging everyone in your life that you don't think they'd be wanting to do anything with this. And that's not fair. That's not fair to you. That's not fair to them. So get over it and move forward. I don't like sales, or I don't know enough about it to sell it. So you might not know enough about the products, the business, the compensation plan, and so on. So remember, people need to know, like, and trust you. So even if they're a complete stranger and you meet them on social media, as you continue to engage with them, as you continue to like their comments, share their stuff, you know, just really be a person. Be real. Don't be fake. Be real. Show them who you are. You know, they're going to start to know you more. They're going to start to like you, and they're going to start to trust you. And there's a lot of people in your life right now that do already know, like, and trust you. It is a fact that 71% of customers buy because they like you, trust you, and respect you. So it's okay to say, I don't know. This is something I wanted to put in there because we don't need to know everything to be successful in this business. It's actually more challenging with the more that you do know. You know, even this, for example, as I'm teaching this MIT course, some of you right now are already prejudging the fact that, oh, it's easy for Tara because she is teaching this. She knows what she's talking about. I did not know what I was talking about at the beginning of this journey. I was an absolute gong show. You know, if you heard some of my recordings at the beginning, you'd go, wow, who the heck is this person? You know, it's always a work in progress. And the more I know, the more I actually turn people away. So I always want to use tools, and this is a tool that you can use with your people. If you don't know how to train people in the business or the MIT, use this. It's recorded. It's great for you to be able to share this with people and say, you know what, I went through this training series. I found it really helpful. Maybe you would too. And it's great. You could even do like sessions with people to say, after week 1, let's connect on the phone and see what you took away from it, or what were some of your aha moments. You can still coach people and support people through things like these tools. You don't need to know everything to help people. It's really okay to say, I don't know. That shows that you're real, and that, hey, if you don't know what you're talking about, but you're actually on the road to success, then maybe I could do this too. You want to make it seem really simple for everybody, no matter what. The thing about sales, I just want to go back to that topic for a minute, is that not many people like sales, and not many people like sales people. I personally know that I can smell a salesperson from a mile away, and I want to beeline out of that place. Nobody wants to be sold to. But what we do know is that when we like something, when we are so passionate about something we've tried, or a company that we have bought from, or a movie that we've seen, or a restaurant we've eaten at, it's a simple thing for us to share that experience with another person. That's all this is. We're just simply sharing our story and why we love the products we're representing, and we're moving forward and sharing that with other people. Not everyone's going to want what we have. Not everyone's going to be open to hearing what your story is, but some people are, and it isn't about how many, it's about the key people that are really interested in what you have to share. The pyramid scheme. I know Jeffrey really, he covered this and I love it, but you know, I like this visual because so many of us think that the pyramid scheme, and we've already talked about how this is not a pyramid scheme. A pyramid scheme is actually an illegal distribution model, and usually the way that a pyramid scheme is a pyramid is, or a Ponzi scheme, is when there's no product or service being passed. It's just money is being passed, you know, from one person to another. And it's definitely a scheme. You know, there's going to be a break in that somewhere, that somebody's getting, you know, they're paying money, but they're not getting money out. So that is definitely a problem. With network marketing, however, there's always a product or service being offered, and we have amazing products. But you know, this is a great representation of the traditional corporate world, even for something that's not corporate, like public education or, you know, any sort of public service. We've always got people at the top, and in many cases, even rankings where you can't reach over a rank to get somewhere else. You've got to go, you know, to the next rank to talk to someone or whatever. And chances are there's only going to be one person at the top, or a very select few. And the only way you're going to reach the top is if you basically, you know, step on others to get that spot. It's all competitive, and it's cutthroat, right? That's the way that it is in most traditional businesses. And for us, we're actually the opposite way. We all start off maybe at the bottom, but we work our way up based on what kind of action that we are, you know, putting in. What kind of actions are we taking every day? And so really, you are the CEO of your business right now. So you're technically at the top, even if you just started. And everyone is going to come into the business, you know, below you. But keep in mind that someone even on a 4-level deep to you, so let's take a look at this example, the employee level, even though nobody in your business or organization is an employee, but just for that, you know, the model to see it, someone in that level of employee where they look really sad right now could potentially surpass your earnings, even though you are technically the CEO or the top of your team. And I personally have someone in my team right now, and close to having at least 2 or 3 people surpass my income. And the person in particular that has surpassed my income now for the last year came into the business 2 years after I started. So in any traditional business, that does not happen. So I just really wanted to give you that example. Now, this is something I was going to share with you. It's a YouTube video, and I will post it in the group so that you can see it. It's just a funny short clip about pyramid schemes, but it just basically answers kind of what I did, but I just wanted to add the humor to it. But we're already really short on time, so I'm going to keep moving forward here. Next steps, I want to review. So we're going to come up with systems that work for you. So this is kind of a bit of review from the last few weeks. So just take a look at some of these things that we really want to keep in mind. So I want to bring you back to the previous week so that we're not moving so far ahead that you're forgetting the things that we've learned so far. And if you haven't watched week 1, 2, and 3, please give yourself permission and do yourself a favor to go back and catch up on those calls, because they're really helpful and they all have very valuable information. It might not be the time for you to go back and look at all of those, but take some time at some point to go and really invest in that time. So you're going to continue to practice your 30-second story and your snap that we learned a couple weeks ago. Again, listening 80% of the time, speaking 20%. Please don't ever try to convince anyone. The more that we continue to be really strong in our convictions about convincing people, the more we're going to turn people away. And that's not what we want to be. We don't want to be desperate. You know, keep practicing. Connect with 5 to 15 people or more before we share again. You know, sharing tools, sharing your story, anything like that. Remember those acronyms, CAPI and FORM. Use those. They're going to help you. And always remember to set the appointment and follow up. Now, here's how Susan really succeeded, and anyone who is in the success window, and all of you should be there because you're on your way to success. Success is a process. Success is not a destination. So if you have these things going on in your life, you are already successful. So number 1, the determination to succeed. Number 2, your clear-cut why. You have to know why you're doing this, or you will stop literally within the next conversation that brings you down. Consistency, being consistent every single day, touching your business every single day is going to keep that momentum going to get you forward. Being obsessed with getting people paid. We really want to help people get paid, even if it's just their products for free. That is the baseline. We want to always help people get there. Not everyone's going to want to. Keep in mind that 80 to 84% of the people that get started in Isagenix are here for the products only, and they will not ever become business people. So, that's really good for us because we have a sustainable business with 80 to 84% of the population starting for the products. Some of them turn over to a product and business partner, but most people will always stay at that product user space. Repetition of the basics. Some people say, well, what's new? What can I do different? What can I change? It all comes from the basics. It's about prospecting, connecting with people, asking great questions, answering questions, using the tools, following up, getting people started on the right foot. And we're going to get into that next week. But it's repetition, repetition, repetition. The more we try to reinvent a new wheel to try to make it better, different, more exciting, the more we're going to go off course and get distracted. So keep to the basics and you'll be amazed what the basics over time are going to continue to do. Stay organized, and that's something that I'm constantly working on. I am a recovering disorganized person. Organization is something that I see as a big deal. It's taking me a long time to get there, but with the right people in my life, it's starting to really happen. Utilize the people, and I know Alicia, thank you so much, Alicia. She has offered to share some of her online organization tools, and she'll be posting that in our group. So stay tuned for that if you're much like her with the online organization stuff. For me, I love online stuff, but I also love paper, pencil, pen, binders, all that stuff. So my organization comes from handwritten stuff. Laser focus, being really super focused on what your goals are. And number 8, no drama. And I love this one as an end because we really need to avoid those 3 J's, the justification, judgment, and jealousy. They are going to kill your business. And there are so many people that come to me with certain things that come up, like judgment from other people, or justification why they can't do something, all those excuses that keep surfacing, or the sin of the sideways glance, as P.K. Smith explains. When we look sideways and compare ourselves to other people and that jealousy streak comes out, that is going to set you back so far. Don't compare yourself to anyone. Everyone's journey is different, yours included. We all must just be better than we were yesterday, not better than anyone else. And I've said that so many times. But when you let go of justification, and I used to justify everything to my husband when I was in that place of going, he doesn't get it, so I would justify myself. But what did it do? It caused a lot of friction, a lot of stress, a lot of feelings of doubt, all that stuff. Judgment, again, was something I was very much a part of. I judged a lot of people. I judged myself. I also got a lot of judgment back. And jealousy, it kills. It just kills. So if you ever catch yourself doing one of those 3 things, give yourself something physical, like, I don't know, just pinch yourself or something. Say, don't do that, because it's really going to hurt your success. Now, dip theory. I honestly am running out of time, so I really want to cover this tonight, but for those of you watching this live, I apologize that we're probably going to go over by about 10 minutes. And if you need to go, no problem. This is a really important theory, and I don't want to rush through it because I believe that this could really be the difference between you doing what you're doing currently and where you could go. So keep in mind, we've talked about this before in a kind of a couple ways, and you may have seen some of my videos recently that I've been posting. A dip theory is simply something that shows that you're a real person with transparency. You're authentic, you've gone through crap, but you're better for it. So we all have stuff. Every single one of us has stuff, has junk, has garbage, has drama, has negative things that have happened to us in our entire life. So this is normal. And this is an area where if you do this well, and this is going to be a work in progress, believe me, When you do this well, you are going to attract people into your life because you're real. People connect with the rawness and the transparency of your story. So here are some tips and some ideas. It moves the audience forward. So even if it's just one person you're talking to, consider how you can connect with everyone, even if not everyone has experienced your exact same dip. So this is something, I'm just giving you some of the main key things, but we'll explain it in more depth in a bit. But not everyone's going to understand. And I'm just throwing a couple ideas out there. Maybe you lost a child, and I'm sorry if you did, that's awful. I have not, so I can't relate. Maybe you have gone through a divorce. Again, something I've never gone through. Maybe you have, been diagnosed with a life-threatening illness or disease. Again, I've never had that happen for me. But when you're talking through these dip theories or these dips in your stories, not everyone's going to be able to relate to you in that area. Not everyone is going to experience what you've experienced, but you have to really be cautious of how you're coming across and how you can bring people in to your dip so that they can feel how you felt and they can put it into their own life. So it might be that they've lost someone in their life. It might not have been a child, but it might have been a loved one. So you could, bring that into your dip. Maybe someone hasn't been diagnosed with a life-threatening illness, but they have a loved one who has. So again, bring that in to your dip, and so on. So if you kind of know what I'm meaning there, it's just include every single person who's listening to your story so that you're not losing people. Because if they can't relate to your dip, they're really going to be tuned out really quickly. They might feel for you and they might have empathy for you, but it's not the same dramatic impact as if you include them in your story. Me, we, and you. So when we're doing this, we're actually going to talk in terms of me. So where I'm at personally right now in my story, this is where I am, and how we as a collective society maybe have been conditioned a certain way, So bring that whole big group into your conversation as we. And then you're going to actually, at the very end of your dip, you're going to talk about the person you're talking to. So even if you've got a group of 100 people, 5,000 people, you're still going to be talking to the audience in the term of you. So you're putting it back into their hands because you might be asking them a question of, how do you want to move your life forward beyond, that challenge that you've gone through in your life? How are you going to stand up and face criticism, or how are you going to face fear? So again, you're just bringing that story in so that you can actually focus on making it real for those people that you're talking to. Use questions to keep people engaged. So again, it might be just if you see that you're maybe losing some people, bring them back in with a question. Being vulnerable is a strength, not a weakness. Many of us are so afraid to show our vulnerable side that we're actually not coming across as a real person to some people. Yes, we're about being positive and great attitudes, and we still can do that through a dip. It's just that people connect with that vulnerability. And it's interesting, I saw a quote recently about how people want to see vulnerability in others, but they don't want to share their own with others. It's also very dangerous to assume that your audience comes with the knowledge or understanding that you have. So keep it basic. And some examples might be that maybe you talk about a time in your life back in the 1960s when something happened. Not everyone lived in the 1960s, so you want to, bring that around. And if you're not sure if people have ever heard of that before, just explain it with, sometimes it's a sentence or two sentences just to explain that time in history or that event that happened. Verbal fluctuation is important. So again, you want to make your voice change. You don't want to be monotone. You'll lose people that way. It's just not going to be very enjoyable to listen to somebody that doesn't ever influx their voice. And you kind of get the idea. Tell listeners how you're feeling at that time. So use descriptive words. So when you got that call that your loved one was in a really serious car accident, how did you feel? Sometimes even getting into that, the action of, it took you to your knees, and maybe you're closing your eyes as you're talking about this. it almost becomes an acting piece, but it's real. It's how you felt, what you were going through at that time. Don't rush through the dip fast or you'll lose the powerful meaning in it. So many people are so uncomfortable with that vulnerability that they rush through it so fast that they have a really tough time to stay there for as long as they need to be. And we'll talk about the timing in a minute. An example of my first dip story, and I am going to leave us with the first dip story that I've really shared on Facebook. Some of you have heard it before, some of you haven't. It's about 10 minutes long. That's why I know we're going to go a little over time. But remember, every master was once a disaster. This is an example of a story that doesn't really flow or connect very well, but it's a dip in my story and one that I learned a lot from. And I'm really trying to help other people learn from my dip because many people have had a similar dip or something that they can relate to. So I will share that with you in a minute, but we're going to just go through a couple more things. I am also going to challenge each of you to do a video under 10 minutes and share it in our group before the end of this coming week. So our next session will be August 5th. I challenge every one of you, and I think that you can do this. I know you can do this. Becoming vulnerable is not easy, but it's something that will stretch you and grow you into another phase of your journey. If you really want to see changes happen, you will do this dip at least once in our group. So Lisa Nichols was the trainer at the Amplified event. She gave us all this amazing stuff. Content, story content is what she usually says. So you're really looking at the end in mind. What are you trying to teach the audience? What kind of message are you bringing? Again, this is very different from a 30-second story. This is not a 30-second story, so please don't confuse the two. This is simply something that takes the audience to a different place, right? It's a lesson that you're trying to share, and you're giving tips and ideas and strategies through your story. Monologue to dialogue. So again, you're talking about yourself in your journey, but then you're switching over to that we and you area. Audience connection, whether you're connecting with one person or 1,000 or more people. People only follow you when they feel connected to you. And again, that goes with that knowing, liking, and trusting. Now, this MIT series is, again, very in-depth. And many of you are probably going, oh my gosh, there's so much information. And I certainly never want to overwhelm you. I'm just giving you tips and tools and ideas, and it does not happen overnight. These are all things that in 6 years of my time with Isagenix has been a journey and a process and a gradual change for me. I am not the same person I was 6 years ago, thank goodness, but I'm so grateful that I was open to learning some of these things. I'm trying to condense it for you to make it really simplified, but this is a process. We can work more on this too. Be relatable. Humor is important if possible, and that's something that I'm not so good at, but if you can bring humor in, it really engages the audience even more. Have a catalog library of all your stories. So again, we don't just have one dip in our life, we've got dips in every area of our life. Think of all the turning points in your life. These are all dips. So a lot of times when you've had that pivotal moment or that time where you were really low or defeated or discouraged, those are all for an amazing reason. There's always light at that end of the tunnel. And if you haven't got out of that tunnel yet, just know that there's something coming that will, but it's the attitude that it starts with. It's our attitude. And when you look at your dips in your stories, you will be able to recognize the meaning behind that dip. You'll be able to see how it made you stronger, how it helped you become better today. So, it's going to be a challenge for some of you to go back to those times, and I certainly don't want to open up wounds, but I think that when we really address them and realize what it did for us, you're going to help so many people as well. So there's financial, relationship, career, family, health, etc. No one cares about your story or my story. The only thing they care about is themselves in your story. So they must be able to see themselves in your story, or they'll, like I said, they'll lose meaning and they'll kind of disengage from you. Don't stay in the dip. So there's a contradiction here. On the other side of the coin, I said don't rush through the dip. But on this side of the coin, don't stay in the dip, because when we stay in the dip too long, it actually could sound like a therapy session, and we don't want to have a therapy session in our dip. We don't want to make people feel sorry for us. It's not about that. It's about the strength that this dip has done for you in your life. Now, time only spend, now this is something kind of as a general, if you're looking at a possible 10-minute, and I said to you to try to do a video under 10 minutes, the time that you're gonna spend in your dip is about 20 to 40%. So 2 to 4 minutes out of 10 is where you're gonna spend your time in that dip. More than that, it's kind of like a therapy session, like I said. So you don't wanna have like a 7 or 8 minute dip and then 2 minutes of content. Keep it short. The absolute max is 12 minutes. The dip should be no longer, like I said, than 3 to 4 minutes. So let's take a listen, and we'll end with this tonight. And unfortunately, I do want to just say that I don't have access to a conference line right now. I had a second one that I attempted, and I'm not sure if it's my bell that's not allowing me to do those right now. But anyway, I'm working on that, and I know that for all of you who need any support or guidance, please use the group for question and answer. I was hoping for it to be after this, but it won't be. So feel free to use that as your place to connect and communicate with each other. So keep in mind, this was my first attempt at a dip. Every master was once a disaster, as David Wood says. Many parts of the dip that I didn't do. So like if you go back to those notes that we just talked about, I didn't do very many of them, but you'll kind of be able to recognize some of that. I challenge you to create your own recorded version for your first tip. So let's start with my recording that I did back a few weeks ago. And I hope you can hear this. This is really weird, but what a moment is that I have something on my mind that I just can't. I know that it's time to pull over and share this moment with you. Have you ever had a time in your life that you realize that you've possibly taken someone for granted, that you just expected them to be there for you, that anything that happens in your life, that person will always be right there beside you? Well, this is a really strange video, and I apologize to those of you who are not expecting what I'm about to do, but it's time for me to get really clean with something and really show that we all can come through things and be better for it. I just celebrated my 10th anniversary with my amazing husband. And, 10 years, a lot has changed in 10 years. But what I do know is that things can very easily slip into those moments of taking a person that we truly care about and love for granted, just expecting that they're always going to be there no matter what. And there was a time in my life when I was 24 years old, before I met my husband, and I was actually engaged to be married to someone else. And that time in my life was a stressful time. I'll paint the picture. I had already been an insurance broker for a few years after college. My fiance at the time and I had actually bought a house. We were living in a home, our first home together, and I was traveling. I decided I wanted to go back to school to be a teacher. So I was traveling every day to go to school. He was working full time. He was paying the bills. He was making sure that we had a roof over our head and food in our bellies. And I just expected that he would be there. Now, I had OSAP loans and things like that to get me through school, and I did have a part-time job, but it wasn't paying really anything more than my gas and, some extra things. Not a whole lot. But, I was in a moment in my life that everything was drama. Everything was hard. Everything was, I was a victim of every circumstance. Can any of you relate to that? I know at 24 years old, I had a lot of growing to do, a lot of places in life that I didn't even know existed, as far as right between my ears, right here. This little space right here had a lot of growth to still go through. And, one day he came home from work, and he had been working late quite often. As an electrician, and there were moments when I would be like, wow, he's late, and I'd actually get worried that maybe something was wrong. Maybe he had an accident, maybe something terribly was going wrong, but it was happening often. And not once did I think that something was wrong with our relationship. It didn't look like internally that way. But what happened was, during a time that as my world was crumbling around me, interestingly enough, our school was on strike, or teachers or professors or EAs, I can't even remember who was on strike at the time, but it was stressful to me because I thought, am I even going to get my year in? It was just, everything was going wrong in my life. And I remember him coming home one afternoon, and I had dinner ready, and he just looked defeated. Something was wrong. And I sat down and I said, is everything okay? And he didn't really have a lot to say. He basically was looking past me. And I remember feeling like, oh my gosh, in the gut, something is not right. Something is terribly wrong. And at that moment, I knew exactly what was about to happen. You see, we had paid for everything for our wedding that was coming up in just a few short months. And I was going through the motions of being engaged to somebody who I truly didn't even value. And I am not telling you this story to feel sorry for me or to, dislike this person or anything like that. I actually realized that my part in it was that I was taking this guy for granted, and I wasn't respecting him. And we basically were roommates. And anyway, long story short, I found out that he was in love with someone else. And of course, my heart was absolutely crushed. I thought, how could this happen? Like, how could this happen right under my nose? And the thing was, I was disconnected. I was living a miserable, unhappy life. Everything was going wrong for me all the time. Why would he want to be with me? And at that moment, I remember as he left, I was desperate to hold on to him with every cell in my body. Please let me change. Let this change. Let's continue moving forward. And he actually said to me the day he moved out, you're going to thank me for this someday. And I remember being so angry. How dare he say that? How dare he say that? And a 24-year-old living in a home which used to be shared with a fiance, knowing that he was going to someone else, I felt so defeated at the bottom of my rope. And I remember being on my couch for several days. It could have even been weeks. I don't even know. Where, food was not even something I could eat. I felt absolutely horrible in my life at that moment. And this is really weird. There's a car coming. But, the thing was, I realized at that moment that I am responsible for my own happiness. No one person is going to do that for me. And I was looking externally all the time. How is he going to save me? How is he going to help me? How is he going to provide for me? What do I need to do, to make sure that continues to always happen? And what ended up happening, throughout this time, I'm now 38 years old. That's a long time ago. I'm happily married, and I do thank him. I actually really forgive him. I came to a place of forgiveness, ironically, when I was driving a few months ago. It just hit me one day that I went, wow, I have no ill feelings for that man anymore. None at all. Yes, did I get hurt at that time? Yes, but did I take some responsibility for what happened to us? Yeah. We all must really look at our lives and see what area of our life can we change. Are we expecting too much from somebody? Are we feeling like someone owes us something? Are we looking at our spouse every day with those controlling tendencies? Are we talking for them? Are we speaking for them? Are we expecting so much from them? Are we just assuming they're always going to be there? And what are we bringing to the table? What are we bringing to the relationship? And, I look at it now and I think I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to grow up, because truly and honestly, there are some people in their 40s and 50s that don't grow up as far as the relationships go. They still expect the other person to do more, or they still expect that person's always going to be there, even though they complain every single day of their life. Maybe you are personally living in a miserable life. And I'm not trying to point fingers or get anyone uncomfortable right now, but if you're watching this and something's resonating with you that, oh my gosh, I'm expecting my spouse to be there no matter what. No matter how horrible life is for me right now, no matter how much drama is going on in my life, I'm just expecting that this person's always going to be there. And I realize now that there are moments when I do get into that pattern again, and I look at my relationship with my husband, and I'm so grateful that I can try my hardest to recognize it, to be aware of it when it happens, and stop doing the old things that I did as a 24-year-old. And, you know, now I've got so much invested. I've got children and this amazing husband that loves and adores me and supports me in so many ways. But what am I doing to support him? What am I doing to bring happiness to him as well as him happiness to me? It's a two-way street, and it's not 50-50. It's 100% from me and 100% from him. So anyway, I just want to share this with you because I do believe that we are all connected in some way. My story may not be your story, but you may be in a moment right now, a pivotal moment in your life, that something is drastically about to change. And it could be a relationship with a spouse. It could be a relationship with a friend, a family member. Please look at your part of it. We can't blame people for our circumstances. We can, however, look internally and see what it is that we're doing that we can change. And it's huge. It's absolutely life-changing if you really get it. And, you know, I hope that with my story, and certainly don't feel sorry for me, my life is amazing and I'm grateful to have had those experiences, as hard as they were at the time. As much as they knocked me to my knees and made me want to give up my entire education that I was almost graduating from. I had a year left at that time, and I thought, how can I go on without this person in my life? But I did it, and I'm so much better off for having gone through those hard times, because it's made me a better wife today to my amazing husband that I was grateful to meet a year after that breakup. So, you know, keep moving forward, guys, and don't ever take a person for granted. If you love someone, let them know. But don't just let them know with words, show them. It's the silence and the actions that actually show people that you love them. It's not those 3 words, I love you. It's so much more than that. So anyway, guys, have a great day. And obviously it's nighttime and I should be going to bed now. So anyway, take care, and I hope that my story can just help shed a little bit of light on where you're at today. Take care. All right, guys. Well, that sets a different mood for the way that we end this call tonight. But I really appreciate your time and your commitment to yourself and your own growth, your commitment to your team, your commitment to your family, because this is not just about building a business. This is about literally changing the course of the direction for you and your loved ones. So, you know, go out there, be yourself, be transparent, be okay with those parts of your story that aren't perfect, because we're not looking for perfection. We're looking for strength in those vulnerable times, because every single part of our journey helps us become better. So, you know, that was a packed call, and I apologize for going over time. I really don't like to do that, but I'm glad that you were here to experience that with me. And like I said, you'll find a lot of, you know, mixed up things in that dip. But as my first one, I'm grateful that I was able to bring that forward and share that with you tonight. It was obviously on a video, but I just shared the audio portion. So thanks again, guys. Have a wonderful week, and we'll connect next week on August the 5th for week number 5. Cheers.